Though Matthew doesn't mention any palm branches specifically in his Palm Sunday account, the other elements of a good Palm Sunday worship service are there. I found that Palm Sunday these processionals are fairly universal experiences in the churches of which I have been a part. The children walk in waving palm fronds, their expressions conveying something between excitement at being the center of attention and confusion about what it is exactly that we're celebrating. As they walk down the aisles and deposit their branches in baskets, members of the congregation sing a celebratory hymn, not exactly sure where they're supposed to be focusing their attention. It sort of embodies a holy chaos in my mind. It's not written in our book of order, our Constitution, but there must be some unspoken law in our denomination that Palm Sunday has to begin this way, with a processional hymn. Don't get me wrong, I love the procession because it embodies Jesus' procession into Jerusalem. There was rejoicing, certainly. There was a lack of understanding. There were certainly confused expectations. It was a strange time. In each of the four Gospels, Jesus ends his journey in Jerusalem. During this time, his ministry reaches some sort of literary pinnacle. We know what is going to happen after all of this. But how did Jesus get here? Jesus spent his ministry healing the people, teaching his disciples, and challenging the established order. He did this to spread God's message of love, spread it far and wide, where the message had become lost or had become stale. He loved without bounds. He loved where there was no reason to love. He loved to the extent where he offended. Jesus did this to fulfill his calling, his mission of spreading God's good news. It was because of this good news that Jesus' path eventually led to Jerusalem. It was because of this good news that Jesus' path led him to a celebratory greeting at the city gates of Jerusalem, to people excited for his coming, for the salvation he promised. Yet it was also because of this good news that Jesus gave that his path led him to conflict with the religious order. It was because of this good news that Jesus' path placed him in opposition to a domineering empire. Jesus' path of spreading love and grace was so offensive, so challenging, so counter to this world that it led him inevitably to the cross. Our confirmands have spent the past few months learning about Jesus Christ, about his life and his ministry, and about our responsibility and response as his followers. They've learned what it looks like to be a disciple of Jesus Christ, and they have asked plenty, more than their fair share of questions about what that faith looks like. Now they are being called by God to follow their path. Just as Jesus walked a path laid out for him by God that inevitably led him to Jerusalem over palms and cloaks, our confirmands are being called. Your callings and your paths look certainly different from one another. Grace's path is not Kimball's. Duncan's path is not David's. And Morgan has a path all her own. And that's okay, because that's how God works. Each is called to their own path. Each is called to their own journey. As this promise is true for Christ's earthly journey, and this promise is true for the journey of faith for our confirmands, so it is true for us as well. We have each been set upon our path, each called on this journey by God. Sometimes our journey may be like Palm Sunday, shouts of joy, songs of praise, the royal treatment. Sometimes our journey may be like Good Friday, painful, frustrating, or even faith-shaking. And sometimes our journey will be like Easter. Out of darkness, pain, and sadness, hope springs forth. All of this is okay, because this is the journey upon which God has called us. This is what a journey of faith looks like. In these final days of Lent, in this Holy Week, may you reflect on your journey. May you relish in the shouts of joy. May you recognize and bear the moments of pain and darkness. And may you gaze longingly toward the hope of resurrection. Amen.